Welcome to Caribbean Mystics Podcast,
where we marry mysticism, superstition, and lore. I'm your host, Paulina.
And I'm your host, Gabrielle, and we are your resident Caribbean mystics.
Join us today as we explore the depths of real supernatural stories
told by real people located right in our very own backyard.
Excited to commence a weekend family camping trip on a secluded beach, Anastacia begins to notice strange lights of assorted colors illuminating the night sky. Entranced by the spectacle, she wonders if she's being coaxed by the unnatural phenomenon to come away with them.
My parents have always called me a hipsy, a little hippie gypsy floating around the world. So I call my home the Milky Way. And I've been fortunate to be out in St. Thomas for 7 years now. I didn't know anything about St. Thomas before I came out here. I was supposed to just come and work one season, make a bunch of money, and then continue on some world travels. I had previously only been on the east side of the island, which is a lot more of the tourism, the bars, it's like, I call it Island Vegas, drinking 24 hours. It's just a different world. It was killing my soul, ultimately, living there and being in the bar industry there. It was destroying me. When I showed up at this beach, the first time someone took me down there to do a photo shoot, they wanted a remote beach, so we drive down there, and as soon as I got to the beach, it was just, my whole heart exploded and my soul opened up, and it was like, this is what I imagined when I moved to a remote island in the middle of the Caribbean, and it just felt like a totally different world, like stepping into another dimension. In August 2020, so it would have been right after the pandemic started. It was right after the Lionsgate portal, which for those who don't know, that is on August 8th, 8/8, and it has to do with the star of Leo and Sirius and the astrology of things going on at that time. Magical things can tend to happen. My partner and I had 2 weeks without housing before we were going to go back to the States to sell our stuff and move back. We both really like camping, and I was like, we should go to Neltjeberg. Let's go spend our 2 weeks there. And I had another girlfriend who's very intuitive as well, and she loves to go camping. So I told her, I was like, hey, there's a gateway opening up. How you feel about a Neltjeberg camp out? She's like, I'm game, let's do it. We made our plans to meet the next day, and then being a young mother and the way life tends to go, it was just crazy, 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 and we didn't end up driving down to the beach until the sun was already setting. It's already dusk. There's no houses or hardly a road over there, so by the time you get down there, it's pretty remote. It's pretty dark. It's just this huge, spacious, sprawling crescent moon beach. So desperately, my partner had been building a bush campground, more or less, where he could come down with our daughter and he'd go get coconuts and she's in the shade. It's just their own little nature playground. And he was really, really, really wanting to show our friend. So before we set anything up, we go walking around across the whole beach and come around the corner. We blew 5 flashlights from our car where we had parked all the way to getting just to the corner to go around the corner. So now we have 1 headlamp, not thinking anything of it. And as soon as we sit down, we're like, well, it's getting dark. So I go to hang my headlamp on top of this little wooden bamboo pergola. And as soon as I hang it up, the light goes, whoa, it gets brighter, and then it pops. It just blows. So now we have no lights. Seeing this happen definitely caught my attention. And it's like, wow, we have blown now 6 lights, in 30 minutes in this short distance of time. Like, okay, it's going to be an interesting night. And we're in the bush, and it's layers of shadow, and it's still dusky, so you can still see a little bit. And all of a sudden, I look up, and there's this blue orb 15 feet away from where I'm sitting. At the same time, I can see my friend Danielle, her eyes start to spot something. And I turn and look, and there's another blue orb. And I start to notice now all of a sudden that there's orbs all around us. From where I was at, they looked about the size of a golf ball, ping pong ball maybe. And they were navy blue, and on the inside of the navy blue center, you could see a very dark, like a dark spot, almost like an eye. It was one of those things where you see it and then you glance back and it's gone already. This particular time was different because they were not going anywhere. It was like looking straight at it and having conscious connection of, I see you. And they're like, yeah, I see you too. And it's like, thank you for letting me see you. They just start lighting up all of a sudden. And so now we're in this darkening space with all of these orbs lighting up all around us. And it was just kind of like, what's next? What's going to happen? Right about that same time, my daughter was getting a little fussy because it's late and it's time for bed. And she's like, Mommy, I want to go. I want to go. I didn't want to leave. All three of us adults are sitting here having this same experience and just kind of all went into a stunned state, I guess. So she drags us off and we go back around to where the main beach is to go set up our camp. We finally get our campfire going over there. My daughter goes to sleep. And so we get to start talking about this experience. Like, what was that? I happened to mention, but I had never experienced what is called a submersible, unidentified submersible, USO. And I had really wanted to experience seeing something within the water. And so just kind of made a joke about maybe tonight will be the night. And right as I say that, this huge meteor just goes across the whole sky and just everyone's like, wow, what's going on? And we start to see this golden orb kind of traveling above the water. It just caught all of our eyes and we're just watching. We're trying to figure out, is that a boat? What is that exactly? And then it starts doing this weird zigzag thing. And it's hard to tell exactly what it's doing, but it's not natural by any sense of the imagination. It's darting and it's moving, and then it gets to where the island is directly across from us. I believe that one is Innerbrast. And it just disappears into the island before we can even really process what's going on. It pops out the other side. It's a good mile at least. And then it continues going on and doing this zigzag pattern back and forth. And we're just all watching it, for us being very open-minded. Your rational brain is there trying to, oh no, it's just this or it's just that. And you're going through everything in your mind about what it could possibly be. And then it gets to the end where now we're on the east side of the island. And that another one pops up again and the other side. And now there's two of them, same glowing yellow light. They begin to communicate between one another. The lights changing, and they were going white and red. It wasn't just changing colors, it was actually, they were shapes. It would still be a white orb, but inside the white orb would be a red circle or a red square. And it was like these codes of light that they were communicating back and forth to one another. I feel like I had just gotten to a point where I was like, maybe it's a boat. We can rationalize it's a boat. And then this starts. Whatever it was could tap into our consciousness. It was like, oh, okay, so now you're going to justify this. All right, let's just step it up a notch. This is going on for probably 2 hours. We're just watching. My partner actually had to work in the morning, so eventually he's like, I gotta go to sleep. So me and my friend Danielle continue to stay up. It was this same, like, getting to this place of wanting to justify it, of wanting to rationalize it. As soon as that came into my mind, then they started coming closer. So now they're crossing in front of the islands, between these two islands, right in front of the beach, doing this same Morse coding. And all of a sudden, they got about that close, and then they got really small. It was strange because before they looked really big, like a large craft, and they just zipped off directly back to the west, where we were seeing the blue orbs, and into the forest there as these tiny little orbs. And we just turned and looked at each other like, did this really just happen? And we're trying to process it all. And as soon as we're about to have this conversation, the same thing happened again to the east side where the edge of the beach is, and over to the west side, 2 more orbs appear, the big white ones. The sun is coming up. I mean, it's light at this time. It's dawn. And it's like this pinkish light in the sky. It was beautiful. So the fact that we could even still see them was really bizarre. Her and I, our hands just instinctively grabbed each other, like interlocking fingers, and were squeezing. And it felt like this transmission connected to both of us, each person to a craft. When we had sat down by the campfire, my friend had jokingly made the comment, so just so we're clear, if they come down to beam us up, we're going, right? And I was like, yeah, definitely, we're going, you know? I'm looking at the one to the west. I could see this mirage starting to it looked like an oil slick or something in front of this, where reality does not look the way that it normally does. And it's blurring, and it was very clear to me that if I wanted to go, I could go. The very human side of me was like, like, as I started to realize, okay, the ball is in my court, the invitation is there, and I'm not quite ready, and that's okay. The connection started to fade. The mirage layer started to clear. Everything became more clear, and then the orbs began to zigzag back off and go deep out into the ocean. It's like, okay, it's time for bed. You know, what you attempt to go and sleep after a night like that. This experience that I had was probably one of the most fascinating and most eye-opening experiences I had since moving to St. Thomas. It wasn't until we got back and I was sharing that experience with locals that a lot of them were like, you what? Like, don't you know that beach is really dangerous? That's where, you know, they do trafficking and people go down there to get killed, and it's haunted, and there's ghosts and there's jumbies and there's all this stuff. And I was like, I had no idea. I've never felt any of that. There's no justifying it away or like, oh, or people thinking, okay, yeah, like what? How many mushrooms did you take that night? It was so strange to me because I would have a lot of people tell me that. And I still have some intuitive friends that when I host events down at Neltjeberg, they're like, not yet. I can't. It's not yet.
Welcome back to the Caribbean Mystics podcast. It is I, your co-host, Gabrielle.
And Paulina. Hello.
Today's episode to me is like super interesting because it's our first time actually delving into the UFO arena. And I know that was something that we definitely advertised about because we've had this story since the very beginning. We just needed to tie up some loose ends before we could actually post it, and here we are tying up loose ends and finally posting. But I always find these type of stories, you're right? I always find these type of stories so interesting because there's so many different perspectives to one event. And so when I hear Anastacia talk about certain elements of the story, I'm just like, it would be interesting to interview the other people that had also witnessed this experience, because I have a theory that everyone may have walked away with their own understanding.
I'm also really curious of what the Caribbean community, thinks about the UFO sightings and the whole genre, because it's something not often talked about amongst the community, amongst ourselves, like aliens and UFOs, but it's something that I think a lot of people have noticed in the skies above us, that there are some weird things in our waters and our air space. So I'm really excited to go into this one too, because I feel like this subject is a bit taboo, even though our whole show is taboo in the Caribbean. But
Yeah.
UFO is like a genre of its own. Like aliens and UFOs, that kind of thing, is its own genre. And I feel like in the States, it's like oversaturated. But you do not hear it a lot from people in the Caribbean at all about that subject.
No, for sure. I think that aliens is probably one of the very few parts of like conspiracy and paranormal that we don't have our own developed storytelling and lore and legend around. True. And maybe we do on other islands, and I am just ignorant to that fact. But you're right, you oftentimes don't hear Caribbean people talk about the extraterrestrial UFO phenomenon, and there's a lot of it that actually happens. Actually, the only people in the Caribbean that I think really grow up hearing about this is the people of Puerto Rico.
I was just about to say.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet it's Puerto Rico.
Correct. We're definitely going to get into why that is. And our close proximity to Puerto Rico pulls us into the fold of this activity. But yeah, I'm going to actually leave you start, Paulina, because I know that we're going to get into some historical accuracy behind Neltjeberg Beach, which is where this story takes place. And I feel like people understanding the history behind that beach is going to kind of lay a really nice foundation.
Definitely. So, for those that know or that don't know, Neltjeberg is located on St. Thomas. It's on the north side of the island. And back in my day, when I was a child, like this used to be like our local spot, like secret beach. And not a lot of people knew about it. It was pretty rural. It's on the north side, and you had to go through this bumpy, pothole-filled road, and it'd go down and down. I mean, you could hike down it, but it was a lot of potholes. You needed a proper car to even get down there. And then once you get down there, it was always just serene, exactly how Anastacia describes it. Out of a magazine, this beautiful crescent-shaped beach. And I mean, the palm trees down there is different. The vibe down there is different, very secluded. And it has that same energy that me and Gabby had talked about before with Mandel Bay and behind Megan's Bay. It's got this old feeling about it. And there's accuracy behind that. So once you get down to Neltjeberg, which today now is kind of like an island beach, a lot of people know about it. It's no longer a big secret, unfortunately. And I've even had tourists that pull me over by the gas station. I was like, do you know where this Neltjeberg Beach is? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Never heard of it.
Neltjeberg. And the way they say it like that is because it's spelt like with an Neltje. So it's Danish origins with that name. So let's go into like some of the first history. And when I researched about Neltjeberg, I actually found an old document on the National Park Service website, and it's pretty much a national register of historic places. So somebody was applying for this place to become a historical location, a historical landmark, for a good reason. And I'll put the source down there because it's pretty much a scan of this document from 1977, which is really cool. So today, what exists now in Neltjeberg are the remains of a sugar plantation. There's 4 graves as well. You can even see the L-shaped 2-story factory, just the infrastructure. It's all brick. and all overgrown now. There was an animal mill there was a stable, and there were slave quarters as well. This was pretty much established in the 1700s when the Danes first came to, or not first came, but started establishing sugar plantations all over the island. And between the 1700s and 1830s, Neltjeberg was an extremely profitable sugar plantation. It had ideal volcanic soil, it was well watered, and it was several hundred acres. And it surpassed any other sugar plantation on island, past the peak of mass production, I guess, or success in the sugar industry. But after that, around 1850, you know, the 1830s, for good reason, the sugar industry started going down. And Neltjeberg had been passed down from family to family until 1850, when a Jacob Roger Molenaar actually purchased the land. And today, a lot of the Molenaars still own part of Neltjeberg, and it had been passed down by inheritance. And I had recently found an article on St.Thomas source from 2020 talking with the Molenaar family about this location where, you know, they had a lot of precious memories growing up there because it was their families, until the government made it pretty much mandatory that this beach have local access. Because in the Virgin Islands, one of the biggest laws here is that every beach is public. So, and this is mainly for like hotel owners, you know, people that come from the States and buy these big plots of land, and they try to be like, this is my private beach. Like we don't play with that here. Like, you have to have some kind of public access, and it's available to the public because the beach is for Virgin Islanders and residents. So with that happening, they had to actually sell portions of the land to excavate a road, and it's a long, windy road down there. By the time they reached down to the bottom, you know, people had access. They were kind of like a little unhappy because now it was for everybody, and there was people leaving trash and, you know, disrespecting the land and such. But today, it's pretty much like I was saying, it's an island beach now, and you can still see the ruins of the plantations there and those historical artifacts. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, they see these buildings and they're like, oh, what was here? But there was an actual plantation. So there was a lot of activity going on down there from 1700s to 1830s. That's a lot of years. And of course, enslaved people as well.
For sure. Definitely. And when we talk about activity, we don't just mean the human activity. We mean energetic activity. Because when we go to Neltjeberg, when we talk about the energy feeling super heavy and dense and old, it is speaking about like the energetic remnants of what has happened on that piece of land, and in this case Neltjeberg Beach. So when you go to Neltjeberg, there's always this feeling like eyes are watching you. No matter what part of the day you go there, no matter, you know, like what you go there to do, there is this uncanny feeling that you are not alone, even when you know you are alone. Yes. And so I don't go there in the nighttime, because I ain't trying to have nobody rob me in the night and kidnap me. I ain't trying to have nothing crazy take place. Not that kidnappings are all that common here in the Virgin Islands, but you just never know. And because it's so secluded, because the road is so hard to get down, I slip and fall and bust up my ankle, and the ambulance have to come. Like, the ambulance is not coming down Neltjeberg Road to come and fish me out off of the rocks. So you'll find that a lot of local people actually have been going there less and less, because there is just this, you know, there's this safety concern that's attached to it.
I actually feel the opposite. I feel like local people are going there more and more, because now more people are starting to go down there. Maybe it feels a little bit safer, but definitely I will agree with you that for the majority of locals, Neltjeberg has this long rumor mill and history of activity, just from passed down from generations and amongst the community about, like, don't go down there at night. You know, there's a lot of creepy things. People have seen things down there. They've heard things. And if you've been there, it's probably one of our most rural beaches, even though it's very inhabited by people swimming during the day and bringing their dogs and grilling and leaving trash. it's still very much like jungle and thick bush in the back and tons of mosquitoes, you know, especially after it rains.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful as well too. There's a lot of people do a lot of family photo shoots on the right side because those trees, the way they bend, man, is totally horizontal, which is kind of cool. So they like to sit on it. But I agree, it's at the end of the day, there's a lot of local, I guess, urban legends surrounding that area. So Anastasia's story definitely makes a lot of sense. I've been waiting for somebody to come through with an Neltjeberg story because that place just, it kind of gives you the creeps, but it's so beautiful at the same time.
It is. That's definitely for certain. It's probably one of the most beautiful beaches, I feel. But, you know, not only is there this history that is attached to that land, but also to our islands, to the Caribbean in general. But when we talk about like UFO activities and extraterrestrial sightings, the region that we happen to be a part of, this Lesser Antilles, is just very notable for that kind of activity. And so when you look at instances like we spoke about Puerto Rico earlier, Puerto Rico is teeming with so much UFO stories and speculation because there's just been a lot of stuff that has happened in our area, our Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico area, that just is so uncanny. It's very difficult to explain away because it's in such large succession. So, for instance, there is said to be a secret lab that's under the El Yunque rainforest in Puerto Rico. And this underground lab is said to have this blue room in which there are these underground bunkers where the preserved remains of extraterrestrials are. And there's been different UFO crashes that have happened along the island. Like there was one that happened in 1957 in Canovanas. And it's believed to have created mutations in the life existing around the crash. And so people have noted seeing like animals and wildlife with these very strange growths on their body and stuff like that. And some people even believe that the chupacabra, for those of you who don't know, it's this entity that has risen to fame, I'd say, largely in the 90s. In Puerto Rico and then in other parts of the world subsequently, that spoke about this animal that would come and feed off of the blood of like sheep and cows and goats and stuff. But some people speculate that this creature was created by way of these UFO crashes, or that in this underground lab where the military was doing testing, they were creating different animals and they were taking different animals and meshing DNA together in order to create hybrid animals. Oh yeah.
Hence the chupacabra.
All of this is speculation and alleged. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just telling all you what the people I'm saying in the streets. So don't say Gabrielle from Caribbean Mystics Podcast say the people them say, because that's where I'm getting it from. The people them. So the El Yunque rainforest also had another crash that happened in 1984, and the government tried to indicate that it was a meteorite, but people had actually watched a crash happen, and it happened very quickly, and then very quickly after, military officials blocked off the area so that way locals didn't have access. But upon initial impact, people reported seeing a flash of green after the alleged meteorite hit the earth, and it created this almost like indentation in the earth, like you could see, and then shortly thereafter it was cleaned up very quickly. And so there was no remnants of this perceived meteorite that had crashed into the ocean. And so I say all of this to say that there is a lot of this activity that happens, and some people think that it's in connection to our proximity to the Bermuda Triangle, which is also known as the Devil's Triangle, and it is about 1,000, I think they said that it was like 1,000 nautical miles. I mean, don't quote me on that. It's a large expanse of ocean between one of the tips hit Florida. I want to say it's Miami, Florida it hits. The other tip hits the island of Bermuda. And then the last tip I've seen it hit San Juan, Puerto Rico, but on other maps I've actually seen it hit St. Croix. And there's just been so much strange phenomenon, like ships sinking and planes crashing or completely disappearing, and there's no real understanding and evidence to suggest why this is happening. And while science has come forward and has been like, oh well, this and this and this is the problem, there are other things that they can't explain, like why there's so many ghost vessels found in the Atlantic Ocean in that Bermuda Triangle area. And for those of you unfamiliar, a ghost vessel is a vessel in which no one is on it. Like the people aboard the vessel vanish and they are never heard of from again. And no one can identify what has happened, why this has happened. And so there's just so much unknowns about this area. And I think that a lot of the military's happenings that have been going on in the area also draws people their attention towards something isn't up, because some of the things that the military doesn't make sense. For instance, they built a naval base called Roosevelt Roads in the 1940s, and they believe across the island that it was housing the dead chupacabras that they were finding in the rainforest. And there are so many local people that subscribe and have really like dug into this lore, because it's been an ongoing thing with this island. And there is even a real video of NASA astronauts seeing a UFO over radar fly over Puerto Rico and then over the Virgin Islands. So there is a lot of things that happen here that completely go unexplained, and I just think that Anastasia's sighting is just the latest of what we've always had occurring here.
I will say there are several NASA videos of them catching UFOs, and this is all declassified evidence as well.
Yep.
There's a lot of declassified files as well, and on the CIA.government website, you could even go check this yourself, that they've recently declassified. That was super tight years before. So who knows what's going on today that they're not sharing? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this is speculation, yes, but there is also a lot of fact-based evidence too. And some of the most, there's a great YouTube episode. I'll try to find it and put it in the show notes, but it's the top 5 most convicting UFO and alien sightings, and they're all taken from people that were in government agencies, whether it was the Air Force, the Army, Naval, and a lot of them were back in the day, because I'm sure they can speak now. You know, they weren't able to speak before. A lot of them were confronted by these men in black that would come through and silence them or threaten them, but a lot of them are old men now. This was back in the 50s. And one of those stories, I think this is one of my favorite stories, they were B-52 bombers, like pilots, and they would constantly see these lights, these orbs following them and moving ahead and flying erratically around, and they called them Foo Fighters. And that's kind of also how the band got their name as well. So I definitely believe there's like some hardcore evidence out there as well. Oh yeah, and the NASA footage too. And then the other side of the coin is there's also so much fucking fake footage and fake documents. Yep. You know, so it's very hard. It's oversaturated how much fake shit is out there. Sorry, I'm cussing so much because it gets me frustrated. But people make a living off that. They make a living off of fakeness, and either they want the attention or they want, well, I don't know, playing a joke, or they get paid by some website. So it's really hard to sift through all that, and it's very easy to dismiss any video, you know. So when it comes to like big industries and prominent industries like NASA, that's like, okay, finally there's something tangible there that we can grasp. And I also believe in aliens because my mom has a story where she saw one. And it's pretty convincing. And my mother, let me tell you, she does not believe in any of this crap. Like, she does not believe in ghosts. She still is like weird about aliens and UFOs. This is her one and only story, and she like came face to face with one. And the reason why I know this was another being and not a person dressed up is because it spoke to her telepathically in her mind. And
we saw that in this story as well.
Yes, exactly. And I did want to touch on that a little bit. And I've kind of read other people's accounts of either abductions or encounters with other beings, and it's very, very similar. It's like this telepathic communication of just knowing, and it's not like a voice that comes in your head. It's just this command and this overwhelming sense of calm and peace that comes over them. It's like almost hypnotic.
No, it's true. I've heard stories of like people being abducted. I know people are gonna be like, oh God, come on, Gabby. But the people that have this, there's this one woman, I listened to this documentary on Gaia, and it was so profound, and I know that I'm usually not the skeptic, okay, but I'm telling you, the thing was profound, and this woman explicitly mentioned that she got that telepathic communication, and she just knew she was safe. And so she was able to fully like immerse into the experience of this perceived abduction because she had already had that inner knowing that like they were not going to hurt her. And I think that that was by design. Anastacia seemed to also have that inner knowing because she was there deciding whether she was going to go with aliens or not. And I think that if she did feel any malicious intent, she would have not been so forthright in this communication. Like it seemed in her recount of this event that she was actually pretty excited to have something like this happen to her versus being like, oh no, I don't want this. This is too scary. This is too much. This is too hard to conceive.
Yeah. I mean, she did seem excited about it. And then, what did she mention it? Then she's like, then my human side kicked in. Like, because, I mean, naturally, I think a lot of us are open-minded, but when coming face-to-face with something so unearthly, otherworldly, it, like, checks us. It's like, so you really into this?
No, for sure. I always wonder, like, I have to believe that if we're going to entertain this perception of aliens being real, which I think they are, and I think that you have to be even more of a conspiracy theorist to think that they're not, to think that humans are just it, and in a place of infinite reality and galaxies and all of that it would just be us here living. I think that's the true conspiracy theory. But in any event, I kind of think that, because I think that there's all of this question around aliens and, you know, their motives and all of that. And I kind of think that if we think about it in, you know, the motives of a human, it's going to vary from place to place, person to person, culture to culture. I could imagine that there's also a vast variety of different life forms and different beings who are driven by different motivations. And so there are some people who study extraterrestrial, you know, and have communicated allegedly with said extraterrestrials, and they have different viewpoints and different stories. And I think that we could have many truths. You know, there could be aliens that are benevolent and are interested in the protection of the human species, and then there are people who there are aliens who, you know, may in fact think that we're the scum of the earth, you know, literally. So I think it's just based off of, all you could go is based off of your feeling when you're having this experience. Are you afraid, and why are you afraid? Is it because there is inherent danger, or are you feeling like something is wrong?
I mean, I have heard some terrifying stories of abduction as well. I'd be like, hell no. Nope. I don't care if you're giving me the peaceful vibes. Maybe that's how you're luring me in. I don't care. I do not want to get probed or like.
Yes, that's what I think they're gonna do to me. Like, I too.
Right? Study me like an animal. Like what we do, humans, to animals in the ocean. Like, that's an abduction. You taking them turtles and like clipping them and poking and prodding. Like, I
Correct.
have no desire to know. I'm happy here on Earth.
Or like, what if they make me their mistress? You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, what if I am the one that they want to like bear their alien human babies?
Yeah, they're weird hybrid. You have these fears too.
Facts, you know, like, I'm a pretty girl. Like, I think that the aliens would want me.
Alien abductions scare me more than like ghosts or supernatural or sometimes even serial killers. Like,
Same.
I don't play with that. I'm good.
No, I completely agree. I would be terrified. But sis was ready to go with them. So I'm going to go ahead and say that these sounded like benevolent aliens.
Yes, let's say that. So I'm also confused because, I don't know, I got a mix of like, were there spirits involved or was it just aliens? Because in the beginning she talks about the light blowing out a lot, and we've talked about in a lot of episodes about how spirits come through energetically and they drain batteries, they'll pop lights, and they went through six bulbs, was that right? And their flashlights.
Yeah,
and
the flashlights kept going out, so finally they were in darkness.
Yes. And then the blue orbs came around, which she referenced to as fairies, which I love because I love fairies and the fae. But you know, I never hear about Caribbean fairies, which is really interesting. So I researched a little bit. I could only find Trinidad that has fairy folklore, and they call them fairy maids. And what's really interesting is that these fairy maids have one hoof and one foot, which is so consistent with our other Caribbean folklore with Cowfoot Woman and La Diablesse. And
we're obsessed with farm animals in the Caribbean culture, Amazon.
Everything's got a goat foot, cow foot. Yes.
Everything got a hoof, man.
What's wrong with
Listen, they would put a hoof on a mermaid if they could get away with it, okay?
Yes, so that's the only kind of fairy folklore I could find in the Caribbean online. But, you know, check me if you get some more.
So I hear what you're saying about the fairies. I too haven't heard anything regarding fairy lore. Something that I did think was a plausibility is I think that sometimes and guys, this is another theory, so please brace you back. So I think that there are times in which we can slip into other dimensions or portals, and then snap back in to the reality that we're currently in. And I wonder if maybe Anastacia, in this experience, perhaps Neltjeberg is some sort of portal that opens and closes at any, given time, or maybe there's a prescribed time and we just are not attuned to that frequency just yet. But I did wonder too if there was a little bit of Anastacia going between portals. The only thing that kind of kept me feeling like is it seemed like the other people in her group were also having this experience. And not that you can't portal jump with multiple people, but if you were crossing into other dimensions, I have not heard of very many instances where people are doing that with whole groups of people, unless they're trained and are actively trying to do that. It's usually something that is a one-off experience, and then you kind of fall back into your current timeline. So I did question that possibility.
You know what else? And I totally forgot to ask her this, is like, did you guys film any of this? If it was going on for hours, wouldn't you at some point take your phone out and attempt to like capture this, But at the same time, they were camping for 2 weeks, so who knew if their phones even were charged or anything. But
correct.
I mean, that would be like the first thing I do is like, I'm getting this on camera. Or they were so enthralled in it.
Recording in.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wonder if maybe they tried. I've heard of stories where people have tried to record paranormal events and they not show up on camera.
Yes. Have you ever seen Nope?
That's another. No.
Have you ever watched Nope by Peele? What's his name? First name. He's with Key and Peele, but the director was Peele. Anyways, it is so good.
Jordan Peele.
Yes, Jordan Peele. Nope. It is so good. It's one of my favorite. If you like M. Night Shyamalan kind of movies, this one is like right up there. And I'm really like, I'm into paranormal and horror and all that, but I'm really skeptical. Not skeptical. I'm really judgmental with certain movies. I'm like, that's corny as hell. That's lame. That's over the top in Hollywood. But this movie was really well done. So part of the movie is like they confront this thing, and I'm not gonna spoil it for y'all, but they confront this thing and nobody can seem to capture it on film, so they hire a film director that does old school like wind up film that doesn't require any electricity. And I'm like, maybe that's what we need to carry with us from now on.
I was just gonna say that could be us, but we live in two different zip codes.
Yeah. And oh yeah, one more thing, you were talking about portals. She does mention that night in particular was a Lionsgate portal, which astrologically is it's like cosmic synergy between stars, signs, and numbers, but the term refers to an annual alignment between the sun in Leo and Sirius, which is the brightest star in the night sky.
And this basically like makes it a lot easier for people to like who are meditative and engaged in meditation, or you know, use plant medicine for journeying or whatever. It allows for them to slip between realities a lot easier when they are in their meditative states. And other energetic portals that happen throughout the year is like 11/11 or 12/21, which is winter solstice. And so like portals are like a big, I know that for the general population of people who hear about portal, you're kind of thinking
a physical,
yeah. Like I think that especially if you're coming from a religious background, there may not even be anything that you can equate that and quantify that in your mind to. But people who are of a more spiritual path should be pretty familiar with the concept of these very holy dates. 3/21 is another one, and 3/21 is actually tomorrow of us filming this. And that's gonna be that spring spring equinox.
Yep.
And then you have the summer solstice, so June 21st. And so there are all of these times where your energetic abilities are heightened, and one of those happens to be the Lionsgate portal. So during the Lionsgate portal, they say that a lot of spiritual gifts come through. You're more intuitive, you're more in tuned with nature. You can hear behind corners in the energetic world, and you have more prolific dreams. And so the fact that she's there on a portal day, and the portal, I think the Lionsgate portal is open for a couple of weeks. I think it starts in the end of August, and it's open until the first or second week of September. So that could have also been a support in her having this very cosmic experience.
Yeah, so it says July 28th to August 12th.
Yeah.
But they peak on the 8th, so 8th is like the magic number with that.
July 28th. Are we sure? It's not August into
12th.
September?
I don't know. Maybe that was for 2022. Maybe it changes every year.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just like, I'm very certain I've had a Lionsgate portal event at Sage in September. So
that could,
okay.
I mean, no, that could be accurate. I gotta look it up to make sure. But, you know, it can change every year depending on calendar.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure.
So yeah, I find this story to be very interesting. It's definitely off the beating path of other stories that we've had. To be honest, I feel less connected with extraterrestrial phenomenon than I do with like spirits and paranormal. I am more human oriented, and so it makes sense to me, you know, like dead people, you know, like I can quantify that. That's tangible to me. It's within my realm of understanding. And as much as I believe in the realness of extraterrestrials, the whole idea around like communicating with them and all of that, that is a more elusive concept to me. But I have met people who are much more connected to the cosmic world than they are the human world.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I feel the same. I never connected much with the cosmic world as well. it was never even like an interest of mine to like dive into. And I mean,
correct.
You
know why? Because we have more than enough problems.
Yeah.
We have more than enough problems here on Earth.
True that. And I just, it's funny, but I find, like you, spirits to be more tangible than aliens, which is funny because none of this is tangible, you know, in the physical, material, earthly realm that we live in.
For sure. I don't think that in someone's lifetime I don't think that everyone would have had a connection to like I don't think in a not normal, what is normal, you know, but I don't think in a person's lifetime, just an average person, everyone would have had an extraterrestrial UFO experience by the time that they die. But I do think that at some point in your life, you have had something that has happened that has been unexplainable. You know, that flash across the periphery of your eye, that weird dream that foretells another event into place. You know, like, I just believe in the fact that at one point in your life, the energetic world, the spiritual world opens itself up to you. I don't think that everyone has that with the cosmic realm. And I think that actually these experiences happen to people who are a little bit more in tuned than the rest of us, who are maybe more connected to our roots. They're more connected to their crown.
I could see that too. So were there any final thoughts you'd like to add about this story?
Yes. So it's not going to necessarily be about his story, but I just want to say that we are getting closer to alien disclosure. We are getting closer to the government being like, sorry, we punked y'all. Aliens have always been around. And as Paulina was talking about earlier with the CIA and all of their studies, you know, like, there is so much information that has come out from the CIA indicating that they were doing testing and you know, like, they have remote viewers who are charged with the responsibility of psychically protecting government buildings. And we have evidence of them testing transcendental meditation and the ability to go between realms and stuff. And so this is an actual government document. You look it up. Actual government documents. And I think that with this year starting out with a bang with these weather balloons, quote unquote, flying over the United States and all of this talk about balloons. UFO, I think it's to desensitize us for when that time comes and they finally open up the floodgates of new information.
I've heard that for a while. So who knows what soon means, though? What do you think? Like 20 years from now? 30 in our lifetime.
It depends on how fast we move at destroying the earth, because I think that they're gonna have to come through and be like, oh yeah, you know, we destroyed Earth. By the way, we've made connection with the aliens. They're gonna help us out. Planet. Yeah, I think that it highly depends on us being in a precarious situation and us needing the help of these otherworldly beings.
Yeah, I've heard that that's the reason why the media and mainstream has been kind of like, you know, making movies about it, just trying to appeal the masses to the image of an alien or the possibility of aliens being around. So,
for sure.
We'll see, people.
For sure. And whenever you see the government working on anything, it's to find ways to manipulate it. So I can guarantee that we will make quote unquote friends with the aliens, but we will botch the friendship in some way because that just is what it is.
Right.
And then the aliens will not want to be around.
We're just not spiritually evolved enough, I think. Yeah. We're still spiritually like caveman in a sense, I feel, as a whole. But it's rising.
No, I agree.
I want to thank Anastacia for sharing her story with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having the courage to come forward and also for providing us our very first UFO stories. Yeah. I know that we have more coming up for certain.
I want to hear more. I'm so curious. Final thought. I did hear this one story from another storyteller that maybe we'll post it. But he was talking about an event that happened at Megan's Bay years ago, but it sounded like a giant boom from the sky. This was in broad daylight. Megan's Bay was packed with people, and this light shot out from the sky and shot into the water. And as it went into the water, it started creating like a whirlpool. And my sister was like, I remember that. So I know that some of our listeners might remember this event. If you have, please reach out to us. Like, send us an email or put it in the comments.
Yeah.
I want to know more about this event.
No, I completely agree. Come through and let's do a story.
Yes. All right, you guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Give us our 5 stars. Please, 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 please write a very beautiful, kind review. Share on Facebook, so that way everyone can hear about our supernatural, paranormal, cosmically centered tales.
Yes, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Caribbean Mystics Podcast.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to share with your family and friends. Like, follow, and subscribe to keep up with all of our spooky Caribbean content.
Do you have a story you'd like to share that took place in the Caribbean? Email us at caribbeanmysticspodcast@gmail.com. That's caribbeanmysticspodcast@gmail.com. Or check the show notes for more info.
Caribbean Mystics is created and hosted by Paulina Creaky and Gabrielle Carrard. Theme song is Folktale Jouvert Riddim by Marcano. Are you in need of a graphic design company that can help your business soar to new heights? Look no further than Sparrow and the Finch Designs. Our team of skilled designers can create stunning logos, eye-catching advertisements, and visually stunning websites that will make your business stand out from the flock. Trust Sparrow and the Finch Designs to bring your vision to life. Contact us today at 512-316-8830 to get started.